Right now on Current News, Catholic nursing students move to the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic by administering vaccines. Plus, New York State is opening up eligibility for those shots to even more residents, the age group that's now permitted. The coronavirus relief bill is getting closer to becoming law, why Catholic bishops don't want it passed as is. And an act of kindness. A plumber from New Jersey heads down to Texas to help following severe winter storms. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. A group of nursing students are stepping up to help get every New Yorker vaccinated. The students from Mount St. Mary College are staffing hospitals before even getting their degrees. Emily Drewby has that story from Newburgh.
As you know, when we use suction...
They might still be students, but Alexana Gadaletto and Gianna Lamarca are fighting COVID from the front lines.
Once we heard word of being able to be a part of these vaccination clinics, I said yes 8 million times.
Administering vaccines. Back in December, a hospital group approached Lynette DeBellis, a nursing instructor at Mount St. Mary College, asking if she had anyone who could help them out. Lynette's students jumped at the challenge. Half of the senior class, over 60 students, staffing 3 hospitals 5 days a week.
It was uplifting to see that much interest and that much willingness to serve.
As New York State continues to vaccinate its residents as fast as they can, many hospitals are turning towards students, using them to help free up hospital healthcare workers to take care of their patients.
It's so important that we vaccinate as many people as possible.
The Catholic school students had already learned how to administer vaccines. They also had to get certified by the CDC, giving up their own time and risking their health to help others.
We had very positive feedback from anybody who came in, and they were like, wow, you guys are students and you're doing this on your free time.
Gianna has given out about 350 shots. She and Alexana say the time they've put in has been more than worth it.
One person said that they were getting the vaccine on his sister's birthday, and his sister died from COVID, and I was the one to administer the vaccine to him, and that was when it hit me that wow, I'm actually changing people's lives and helping them get through this, and I'm so grateful to be a part of that.
It's also a way for them to continue to get firsthand experience. The college started by working with just one hospital system. Now they're working with 3. They're planning to continue the program as long as there is a need.
Students getting a shot at practicing for their future careers, all while injecting hope into the community. In Newburgh, Emily Drewby, Current News.
Teachers nationwide are now eligible for COVID-19 vaccines. President Biden urged all states to make vaccinating them a priority. At least 38 states, including New York, were doing so by the end of last week. Some states are still going with their age-based rollout plan, forcing educators to go to pharmacies like CVS, which are following federal guidelines. And starting Wednesday in New York State, everyone over the age of 60 will become eligible to receive a vaccine. Appointments will open up statewide to anyone meeting the age requirements at 8 a.m. Wednesday. And some more good news on the COVID front. With vaccination efforts gaining momentum, U.S. coronavirus cases show the slowest spread since the pandemic began. New cases rose just 1.5% last week. In the same week, about 2 million vaccines were given out every single day. But there are worries cases may increase as states ease restrictions with warmer weather and holidays coming up. But at the border, the U.S. is seeing a surge of COVID-19 cases in migrants entering the country. Border Patrol is closing camps and releasing migrants into the country as the Biden administration takes back Trump immigration policies. But more than 3,200 unaccompanied children are still in custody in what the Department of Homeland Security calls a challenge.
We are keeping these kids safe and moving them as quickly as possible from Border Patrol facilities to shelters where they can have access to educational resources, health resources, mental health resources, legal aid.
The unaccompanied minors are currently at facilities not intended for children. Roughly 2,600 children are waiting to be put in the correct housing. The White House will allow hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans into the U.S. The Biden administration is offering temporary legal residency to migrants there because of a failing economy, shortages of food and medicine, and the growing presence of violent militia groups. The order will allow an estimated 320,000 people to apply to live in the U.S. for up to 18 months. Millions of Americans are anxiously awaiting some relief from the U.S. government. This as the House prepares to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill later this week. Phil Mattingly reports on what's in the legislation and the uphill battle it still faces at the Capitol.
The GOP opposition unyielding. Not a single House or Senate Republican voting for the plan.
This isn't a pandemic rescue package. It's a parade of left-wing pet projects that are ramming through. They're ramming through during a pandemic.
But the House vote will complete Biden's top task from the moment he set foot in the Oval Office, passing a sweeping bill to address the dual economic and public health crises confronting his administration. The scale of the bill and its focus on those at or below the poverty line almost without precedent. The stimulus checks, which would provide $5,600 for a typical family of four making less than $100,000. Extensions of emergency unemployment benefits for roughly 11 million Americans. An unprecedented expansion of the child tax credit, which would reach $66 million and is estimated to cut child poverty in half. An expansion of the earned income tax credit for $17 million. Tens of billions of dollars for rental and homeowner assistance. And quietly bolstering the Affordable Care Act to reduce premiums for millions. Top Biden advisors calling the package, quote, a historic response to the moment of crisis we face.
We can't lose sight of what the bill actually means for the American people.
Still, warning signs for Biden's future plans in the form of Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who's demanding bipartisanship on issues like infrastructure and immigration.
I'm not willing to go into reconciliation until we at least give bipartisanship or get working together or allow the Senate to do its job. Just by assuming that, hey, they'll never work with us. That's the other side. Right. This is tribal. Republicans will never agree on anything, or Democrats will never agree. I don't subscribe to that.
That was Phil Mattingly reporting. President Biden vowed on Monday that he would sign the bill as soon as it's on his desk. What the new bill lacks is Hyde Amendment protections, meaning it does not protect against abortion funding. Named after Republican Congressman Henry Hyde, the law enacted in 1976 was in response to the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision. It bars taxpayer money from being used for most abortions and is re-upped every year as a rider to federal spending bills. President Biden has said in the past that he will work to overturn the law. A repeal of the amendment would require both chambers of Congress. The House and the Senate are now in Democrats' control. If you'd like to voice your opposition to the bill and its inability to care for the unborn, the U.S. bishops have made it easy. Just go to usccb.org, click on the Issues and Action tab, and click Take Action. Bishops are praying for peace and justice as the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kicks off. One juror is seated and 3 others have been dismissed. Chauvin faces charges for the death of George Floyd last May. He pleaded not guilty and jury selection began Tuesday. 12 jurors and 4 alternates must be seated before the trial can begin. Over the weekend, Archbishop Bernard Hebda of St. Paul and Minneapolis gathered with over 100 other faith leaders, calling on everyone to be people of justice, not revenge. Cleanup is still underway across Texas, almost a month after severe storms blanketed the state with snow and ice. Most of the power in the state is back online after millions were left in the dark. A drinking water shortage is over, but some Texans are still dealing with broken pipes and cleaning water damage. One plumber saw the intense damage done to people's homes in the Lone Star State, so he loaded up his van and drove down to help out. Jessica Easthope was in Morristown, New Jersey with his story.
These last moments together as a family are precious.
Ready, set, go.
Keisha Pinnock, her husband Andrew Mitchell, and brother Isaiah were in Texas for 8 days, giving up their time and money to help after the storm.
Any moment, the tables could turn and it could have been me. It could have been us in New Jersey who needed help.
Now, after a quick 2 days back home in New Jersey, they're headed down to Texas again, this time for 2 weeks, and without Keisha and Andrew's son Blake.
We're going back with a mission, with goals that we need to set, and with a vision so that the Texas plumbing problem, we could get it taken care of.
Keisha, Andrew, and Isaiah saw firsthand the damage done by a surge of winter weather that pummeled the state with snow and ice, leaving people in desperation.
Some people have to repair ceilings.
It failed.
Some people have to repair their floors. They have to rip up their carpet. They have to throw out their entire furniture.
When I was at my breaking point, I said, I'm going to give them a call. And God answered.
Andrew got his plumber's license days before the storm hit. And with pipes bursting, homes flooding and freezing, he saw the call for plumbers to help on Facebook. And in a moment's notice, they packed and drove down to Texas without stopping.
They totally lost water.
In less than 24 hours, they were ready to work.
Let's fix it.
They brought that same attitude with them.
Just really appreciate your efforts.
Taking every and any job they could and charging people only what they could afford, even when the task at hand seemed impossible.
People were, insulating their pipes with newspapers, plumbing that was so poorly done that people actually had like their waste from their toilets and stuff like that just dump underneath their house.
All right, let's build.
Building a community in need back up was always the goal.
One thing about faith that I know for a fact is that it's all love. To be able to extend love and compassion to people, and it's just, what gets me going.
Now Keisha, an attorney and St. John's graduate, Isaiah, a Seton Hall student, and Andrew, a fully licensed plumber, are starting the Pinnock Mitchell Texas Relief Foundation.
Sometimes God uses you to bless other people, and I definitely think that he is using us.
They already have their work cut out for them, and they won't stop until everyone in need is taken care of. In Morristown, New Jersey, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
A great story. Coming up right here on Currents News, our celebration of Women's History Month continues.
We have so many international religious who come because they feel welcome here.
A trailblazing nun in the Diocese of Brooklyn is making sure other sisters feel at home when they come to the U.S. Plus, we speak with a priest who has worked to help churches in Iraq about what the Pope's trip means for Christians there.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
We continue to celebrate Women's History Month here on Currents News. One woman is making a difference in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Sister Mary Ann Seton LaPiccolo is the Episcopal delegate for religious in the diocese. Jessica Easthope went to Dyker Heights to tell her story.
Sister Mary Ann Seton LaPiccolo feels at home in Brooklyn. That's because she is home. The borough native, who has held the position of Episcopal delegate for religious for 22 years, spends her days welcoming others home into the Diocese of Immigrants.
It's a Diocese of Immigrants, we say that all the time. But I see them, I see the faces.
Religious from all over the world come here for education, for ministry, and for roots.
It's a wonderful neighborhood.
The roots Sister Mary Ann has never taken for granted.
I think there is a sense of welcome, and I'm very conscious of that. I often say to them, look, if I were moving to Kenya, I would want somebody to make friends with me right away.
As Episcopal delegate, Sister Mary Ann oversees more than 850 religious sisters, brothers, and priests in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Now with a surge of international sisters, her role has taken on new meaning.
They come and they don't have a provincial or a regional superior, so they call me the Big Mother. Oh, you're just like our mother.
Sister Mary Ann works to find housing that makes people from across the world feel like this urban jungle is their own.
I really work hard at finding them a place where they will be comfortable too, because the cultural differences are real. They're not good, bad, or indifferent. They're just real.
As for women being excluded, Sister Mary Ann says that's never been the case here in Brooklyn, especially not under Bishop DiMarzio.
The bishop has been super sensitive. What's happening from our perspective that he should be more aware of, because perhaps as a man he didn't notice it or he doesn't hear it. I just find that that's a side of him that's so open to learning, like he wants to know because he wants to serve the best he can.
She's looked to as a leader in the Diocese of Brooklyn, the go-to person. But to the people whose lives she's touched, she's the Big Mother. In Dyker Heights, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Iraq is still feeling the aftershocks of Pope Francis's trip, and Christians there are praying that they just continue. Monsignor Peter Vaccari is no stranger to the trials in the land of Abraham. He's the president of the Catholic Near East Welfare Association, a papal agency that works to provide funds to ensure Eastern churches, clinics, schools, orphanages, and other sanctuaries have enough money to do their vital work. He's also a priest from the Diocese of Brooklyn, and he joins us now. Monsignor, speaking of aftershocks, Cardinal Louis Sacco, the leader of the Chaldean Church, said that the culture in Iraq has already begun to change. How is this possible, and can it continue?
Cardinal Sacco's comments, I thought, were very interesting in that he said this miracle really began in preparation for the Pope's trip and has continued through and after the Pope's trip. So it's something that has really excited the Christian community and the Catholic community, of course, in Iraq, and something I think that we are all encouraged by after in some way or another having read or perhaps having looked at any of the video that came to us during the papal trip.
Yeah, but we're talking about very serious things that need to change for Christians in Iraq. They've long suffered discrimination and are often treated as second-class citizens. This can't happen overnight. What else needs to happen after the Pope's visit?
I think one of the principal things that I'm sure we would all agree on is a spirit of prayer among Christians, prayerful solidarity, so that now and in light of the Pope's visit, there is a sense of a global connection, that Christians and Catholics throughout the world feel this solidarity with the Christian community in Iraq. And perhaps one of the unique and distinguishing features or thought patterns that we associate now with Pope Francis is the importance of developing a culture of encounter. That sense of culture of encounter has really marked the papacy and the thought pattern of Pope Francis. So I think that he has paved the way. He is showing us by his example, his desire to be in prayer, his desire to meet all people, the Christians, of course, of the different denominations, the Jewish population, the Muslim population, the Yazidis. He made reference to them during the course of his visit, in this real spirit of encounter.
Right, and your agency has been doing work in the region for decades, focusing on the grassroots of the Christian communities. Have you spoken to anyone directly about the Pope's visit? Are they seeing this miracle, as Cardinal Sacco called it?
They are. Over the course of even in both preparation for the visit and since the visit, my communication in particular with the Chaldean Archbishop, Archbishop Warda, who hosted the Pope, particularly at the Mass in Erbil on Sunday afternoon, was and remains now very enthused. We at Kanewa work very closely with the Archbishop Warda. In fact, the Archbishop invited the Pope to St. Peter's Seminary, a seminary which we support on the ground, to share a meal before the Mass on Sunday afternoon. So we continue to work throughout the region of Erbil. We work in the region in particular of Karakosh. We have worked in Baghdad. So our own activity, whether on the level of university, we support the University of Erbil. On the level of the work that we have been doing there with primary and secondary education, something that is very important for us, the Holy Family Orphanage that we work with. So we're hoping that with the Pope's trip, these efforts that we are already working on the ground with the respective ecclesiastical authorities will only continue.
All right, Monsignor Peter Vaccari, president of the Catholic Near East Welfare Association. Thanks for joining us and for all the work you do.
Christine, thank you. It's been a privilege to be with you. Thank you so much.
Excitement is building over the Pope's next expected trip. He'll celebrate the final Mass for the International Eucharistic Congress in Hungary. Bishops in the country released this statement saying, "We hope that his visit will be a great encouragement and spiritual reinforcement for all of us and for the future participants of the Eucharistic Congress." A priest who died twice from COVID-19 is crediting his medical care and prayers for his recovery. Coming up, we speak with him about his experiences with the disease. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. Doctors call him a miracle. They say a priest in England who contracted COVID-19 actually died twice and then came back. That priest, Father Michael Stack, National Chaplain of the Association of Catholic Nurses of England and Wales, joins us now to share his story. And Father, before we begin, how are you feeling? Can you walk us through what happened and what you remember from your experience? Because many with similar experiences report seeing heaven.
It was a trip for a week's break with my sister Madeleine and my brother-in-law John, and it ended up 3 months in hospital, 36 days in critical care, 21 days on a ventilator, tracheostomy, and the doctors on the day that I actually died on the way to hospital and was resuscitated, arrived in critical care and decided to die again. And was resuscitated.
Oh my goodness. What do you remember from that? Like I said, people say that they see heaven when they die and come back.
No, I didn't see St. Peter. And he didn't say, get back down there. Come on, it's not time yet. No, I didn't see anything. I was totally oblivious of everything.
Wow. Doctors say it's a miracle that you're alive. What do you think is the reason behind your recovery?
Well, the care I received was exemplary. Christine, the care in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in King's Lynn, which is about 20 miles from here, and also the prayers that were said and the masses that were prayed for me, the intentions, and the rosary, which was like a storming heaven. Many thousands of people throughout the world, and even on this link, were praying for me intensely.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Has this whole experience brought you closer to your faith?
Well, it's made me realize how, as an independent hospital chaplain, I need to rely far more on other people, because you can't do everything yourself, and we need the expertise, especially the medical expertise of nurses and doctors, of whom I've worked with for years, more so. We rely on them more so.
I was going to say that. I know you've been a hospital chaplain for 25 years, so you know what could have been your fate. When it came to your recovery, do you think your background prepared you in any way?
Well, I think because of the fact that I'm always constantly a prayerful priest. I know we can all be, like as we're in Lent, well, prayer, fasting and charity. Yes, we'll do that for 2 weeks and then we'll give up. But no, to keep praying constantly, to pray the rosary, and to thank God for all the good things that we have.
Father Michael Stack, National Chaplain of the Association of Catholic Nurses of England and Wales. Thanks for sharing your story, and stay healthy.
Take care.
And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.